Okay, hi everyone. Thank you very much for watching this brown bag regarding lexorank. So this is basically a brown bag regarding lexorank and how it works on the back end. Not up to the details of the formula and how it's being calculated, but I believe sufficient enough to help you guys in handling issues regarding lexorank in JIRA. Okay, well, first of all, I'm Asfa. Thank you very much for watching. I'm from the JIRA KL EMEA support team. Okay, so let us start. So basically, what is lexorank? In a full definition, in our documentation, is basically a system for ranking issues in a clustered database agnostic environment using the lexicographical ordering property of strings. Even pronouncing it is pretty hard. Well, okay, let me make this short and more simple to you guys. Okay, lexorank is basically is the thing that is responsible to handle the ranking system in JIRA Agile, mostly used in the Agile boards for Scrum and Kanban. Okay, in Scrum and Kanban backlog, alright, there's a function where users can actually order the issues. Either if, let's say, they have created a number of issues and they want that one of those issues to be ranked higher than the other, so they can see it easily in the board, in the backlog, then they can do so. So lexorank is the one that handles this ordering, how to remember all of this ordering that has been set by the user. Okay, so in short, basically lexorank is the ranking system used in Agile boards for both Scrum and Kanban, in terms of ordering and prioritizing the issues in the backlog. Okay, so I'll show you guys later on the example directly on JIRA where is it being used, so we'll take a look at on that later. So let's continue. The current lexorank system that we're using is basically a third gen. There are 3 gen overall. The first gen, it was using pretty old JIRA, I believe in JIRA 4 or 5, something like that. It is a very straightforward ranking system which uses numerical value, but there's one limitation, very big limitation here, is basically whenever you want to rebalance the value, the rank values, okay, your system will be locked. So it's basically a full lock reindex, something like that. So it's pretty tedious and it's not efficient enough. So they introduced a new second gen ranking system, which each rank held a reference to the rank that came after it. So this list was maintained in memory, and the actual numerical value of the issue was derived from its position in the list. So there's no need to lock the system every time the balancing is need to be done. And after that, there was some limitation that we found out, and they need to do some improvement regarding the ranking, because there's not enough ranking values, because we're using a numerical value and it's pretty hard to maintain because it will be limited. You can't have like up to millions of ranking values. It will make the system become slow itself. So what we have introduced in the third gen is basically using the lexicographical order of string. So this what the difference between the numerical value. Okay, so instead of 100, for example, using a basic value, it used AAA, something like that. It used both numbers as well as letters. Okay, and it used both combination of letters and also numbers. So basically the rank value will be something like A1, 2, 3, for example. All right, so let's go to the next slide. So all right, there are 3 main components that you need to know regarding lexorank. Okay, first is the bucket. So bucket is basically, it acts as a bucket itself. It stores the value of the ranking for each of your issues. So this bucket, there are 3 buckets exist in JIRA. There's only 0, 1 and 2 bucket, but remember this, only one bucket is in use at any given moment. There won't be a case where some ranking values are in bucket 1, some ranking values are in bucket 2 and such. No, there will be only one bucket in use at one time. Okay, that's the key thing here. We'll go through later on more details on this. Next is the balancing. What is balancing? Balancing is basically we rebalance all the rankings if whenever the rank value is exhausted, because for example, issue is removed or deleted, the rank that it holds previously for this issue will be obsolete. So it tends to you will experience the ranking to be depleted because of this, because of obsolete issue has been completed or deleted and not valid in the board anymore. So you need to rebalance the order again, everything. So this is the act of rebalancing all the ranking value accordingly again. Okay, lastly is the macro, where this will hold the value of showing where's the minimum value in the full rankings in the bucket itself, and then also it holds the maximum macro, which is it holds the maximum value of the ranking in the bucket. So there are three types for the macro. Okay, as I said just now, type 0 is the minimum macro in this bucket. For example, we have bucket 0, there will be a type 0 in this bucket 0. There will have also type 1 in this bucket 0. Type 1 is basically all the ranking values, and type 2 is the maximum macro. There will be only one type 0 and type 2, and there will be a large number of type 1, basically all your ranking value. So this we will go through in a bit later as well to make you guys understand on this more. So let's take a look regarding the ranking, the most basic. So how do you do ranking? Okay, for example, we have these tables. We have 4 issues, and all of them have these ranking values accordingly: AAA, BBB, CCC, and DDD. So let's say you want to rank issue 3 after issue 1. You want to move the issue 3 to after issue 1. Okay, so basically the ranking will change here, because it will have AAA and then ADD and then BBB, DDD. So this is how the ranking value system works. I hope you guys can understand this, because as I said earlier, it will be based on alphanumerical. So it will be AAA, BBB, CCC, DDD. So let's say you want to change any values, you just sort them out accordingly. But this is handled by the lexorank system. There's no need of a manual intervention on this. Alright, it's just some explanation as well. So when does balancing occurs is when the exhaustion of the ranking values occurs. As I said earlier, if let's say there's no more rank values available for this lexorank system, it will trigger balancing action automatically. You can also trigger the rebalance manually from the management page. If let's say there's any issues on a JIRA, you can trigger this balancing manually. So a detail on how does this work is, okay, let's say I want to rank, let's refer to this table here. Let's say I want to rank issue 1 before issue 4. So currently the ranking is DDA, DDB, DDC, DDD. There's no space left between DDC and DDD for me to put issue ID 1 over here, because I will be changing the ranking here, but there's no more space. So what we're going to do, we need to make a space between issue 3 and 4 by performing the balancing. Means we will need to reshuffle all the values here again in order for us to be able to assign issue ID 1 with a suitable rank that will place him between these two issues. Okay, so what will happen here? Okay, let us take a look here. So I have this schedule. Alright, so let's go back here. When there is no more ranking available, we will trigger balancing. Okay, when we trigger balancing, we will be using the buckets. Okay, remember the buckets I told earlier? Okay, so as I mentioned earlier, only one bucket can be used at one time. Okay, but when you're performing a rebalancing, you'll be using 2 buckets at one time, because you'll need to shuffle some of the issues to the other bucket to make space. Okay, so for example, let's say we trigger balancing. Okay, what will happen is issue 4 will go to bucket 1, because originally it was in bucket 0. It will go to bucket 1, and issue 3 as well will go to bucket 1. It will assign a new ranking value to these issues, and issue 2 actually will also eventually go to bucket 1, and issue 1 also will be going to bucket 1. So what will happen to the new value is it will be having something like this. So as we said, we want issue 1 to be between issue 3 and issue 4. So basically what will happen, JIRA will allocate issue 1 with a new ranking value, which is CCD, and it will sort it out automatically, something like this. So as you can see, when they move to a new bucket, which is bucket 1, all the issue will be given a new set of ranking values to make space. Okay, so as you can see here, now issue 1 can be in between issue 3 and 4. Okay, I hope this is clear to you guys. So this is the issue numbers, this is the bucket, because they already moved from bucket 0 to bucket 1. They're all have been given a new set of each ranking ID. Okay, so when a balancing is done, it will have a new ranking values, as well as they will be able to rank the values again accordingly, even though previously they don't have a sufficient space. Okay, so one more thing as well, in terms of bucket, you can only have like bucket 0 go to bucket 1, bucket 1 go to bucket 2, bucket 2 go back to bucket 0. So it will be basically, it will go to from 0 to 1, 1 to 2, and then go back to 0. You won't have something like from bucket 0 go to bucket 2, from bucket 2 go to bucket 1 back, and this will cause confusion. So the system works is by going from 0 to 1, 1 to 2, and 2 to 0. It will be a looping act over here. Okay, so I hope this part is clear. So let us see a few common issues in JIRA itself. The most common one will be a missing maximum minimum macro in the database itself. Okay, so how do you do that? Is basically you run this particular SQL, which will show you all the ranking, the custom field where the custom field where the rank is assigned to. So basically in JIRA, all these values is stored in a custom field called rank. Okay, so remember that all the values for the ranking is stored in JIRA in the custom field named rank. Alright, so to get that, you just run this SQL in your database, and then to verify, okay, to verify if you have the correct maximum minimum macro, is for you to run this particular SQL, where it will display all the values, the data of the ranking in JIRA itself. So for example, here you can see there's 3 values. This is example. Okay, so basically you can see here there is 0, 1 and 2, as I said. Okay, this is the bucket. Number 1 here is the bucket. This is the macros. Okay, so this is the minimum macro, this is the value of the ranking itself, as you can see here, and this is the maximum macro. As you can see here, the issue ID for the minimum macro is the most minimum, and the maximum, and this is basically the ranking ID, the ranking for any issue. Okay, so basically in real life you'll see more of this type 1, there will be a lot of it, but for type 2 and type 0 there will only be a single, there will be only one for each field. Okay, so as you can see here, this is the field, the ID 10,500. You can see here 10,500, there will be only one. So what normally happens is this maximum or minimum macro sometimes tend to be missing. So what you need to do is you just run an update SQL in the database to insert these missing values. It will be pretty straightforward. Even in the lexorank management tool, that will be showing an error, something like this. Okay, you see, marker rows present table rank for fill. So these are the things that you will need to check. So by introducing the missing field here, the problem should be able to be fixed. I'll provides in my page itself, there's already a set of instruction on how you can do this, what are the commands, so just refer to that and you should be fine. So it's pretty simple, lexorank, something pretty straightforward. It's just the name might be alarming to new engineers, but it's basically it's a simple stuff on how a ranking system works. So do try this, go play around with the database to take a look at the commands that I have given, just to see what are those in details. What are the commands? Let's say you just want to search for the lexorank fields. What are the macros? So I have inserted a few number of commands, so just refer to them, and if you have any further clarification needed, feel free to contact one of your local SSE. Alright, so thank you very much for attending this brown bag. I'll be seeing you soon. Take care. Bye bye.